Okay, let's dive right into this complete explainer on the k-nearest neighbor algorithm. Look, if you're gearing up for a heavy, long-answer university question on machine learning for your M.Tech exams, you are in the exact right place. We're going to break down k-nearest neighbor, or KNN, from its absolute core intuition all the way up through a fully worked-out step-by-step numerical example.
So, imagine you're trying to predict if a brand new student is going to pass or fail a course. You already have all this historical data on previous students, right? You know their study hours, their attendance records, and their final grades. Now, instead of building some massively complex mathematical equation to make this prediction, what if we just ask a super simple question? Which previous students are most similar to this new one? Because if the majority of those similar students passed, it's a pretty safe bet our new student is going to pass too. That incredibly intuitive idea, that is the absolute bedrock of the k-nearest neighbor algorithm.
Now pay super close attention to the vocabulary here because these are high-yield keywords you absolutely need to drop in your exam answers to score full marks. KNN is supervised, which just means it needs labeled training data to work. It's non-parametric, so it doesn't assume any fixed probability distribution for the underlying data. But most importantly, it's an instance-based or lazy learning algorithm. Actually, fun fact, it's called lazy because it literally does zero work until the very last second when a test is given, kind of a strategy a lot of students might find pretty relatable. There's basically no traditional model building during the training phase. The algorithm just memorizes the training data and delays all the heavy computational lifting until a prediction is actually requested.
Here is our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to hit 1. Core intuition. 2. Executing the algorithm. 3. A numerical example. 4. Tuning the model. 5. Complexities and trade-offs. And finally, 6. Exam revision. Okay, Section 1. Core intuition and understanding the basics. Let's really cement the foundational logic behind how KNN makes its decisions. What makes this algorithm so incredibly versatile is that it handles both classification and regression tasks. For classification, like predicting a pass or a fail, the algorithm looks at the nearest neighbors and basically holds a vote. The most popular class wins. Simple enough, right? But what if we're trying to predict a continuous number, like predicting the price of a house? Well, for regression, KNN generally just looks at the target values of those nearest neighbors and calculates their average.
Moving on to Section 2, executing the algorithm, the math and logic. Let's look at the actual mathematical mechanics and the exact procedure this algorithm follows every single time it gets a query.
So, the most crucial thing to grasp is that KNN strictly follows this 5-step pseudocode every time a prediction is requested. Step 1. Choose your k, which is just the number of neighbors you want to look at. Step 2. Calculate the distance between your new data point and literally every single point in your training dataset. Step 3. Sort all those distances from smallest to largest. Step 4. Just grab the first k points from the top of that sorted list. And Step 5. Make your prediction using either a vote or an average. Memorize these 5 steps. Seriously, they are the skeleton of a perfect exam answer. But you might be wondering, how do we actually calculate those distances in Step 2? Well, to figure out who the nearest neighbors are, the standard go-to is the Euclidean distance formula. You just take the difference between the corresponding numerical features of the 2 points, square those differences, add them all up, and then take the square root of the whole thing. It's essentially just calculating the literal straight-line distance between 2 points in space.
Let's jump into Section 3, numerical example and step-by-step problem solving. We're going to build this into a fully worked-out scenario, exactly like the ones you're going to face in your university exams.
Okay. Here's a highly practical scenario. We have a bank of historical training data for 5 students, labeled A through E. We're tracking 2 features for each of them, study hours and attendance. For instance, student A studied for just 2 hours, had a 60 for attendance, and ultimately failed. On the flip side, student E put in 6 hours, hit 80 for attendance, and passed. This dataset right here is our algorithm's memory bank.
Now, let's introduce a brand new student. This is our query point. This student has 4.5 study hours and an attendance score of 72. Our goal is to predict, will they pass or fail? To run this execution, we're going to set our k value equal to 3. That means we only care about the 3 historical students who are mathematically closest to this new student based on these 2 features.
So, we run our Euclidean distance formula between the new student and all 5 of our historical students. Once we crunch those numbers and sort the results from smallest to largest, our closest neighbors are super clear. Student C is the absolute closest, with a distance of about 2.06. Right behind them is student D at 3.04. Then we have B, E, and finally, student A way out there at a distance of 12.26.
Since we established up front that k equals 3, we essentially draw a circle around just the top 3 students from our sorted list, students C, D, and B. Now it's time for the classification vote. Student C was a pass. Student D was a pass. Student B was a fail. Tally it up, and that gives us 2 votes for pass and 1 vote for fail. Majority rules, meaning our final prediction for this brand new student is a solid pass. See, it really is that straightforward when you break it down.
Let's look at Section 4, Tuning the Model, focusing on case selection and feature scaling. The math works beautifully on paper, but let's talk about how we fine-tune this for real-world, messy datasets. This right here is a massive exam topic, the bias-variance trade-off. It all revolves around how you pick that k value. If you choose a really small k, let's say k equals 1, your model has low bias, but incredibly high variance. It becomes ridiculously sensitive to local noise. Like, if your single closest neighbor happens to be an incorrectly labeled outlier, your prediction is going to be completely thrown off. On the flip side, a large K lowers the variance, but cranks up the bias. You get these smoother decision boundaries, but you might start ignoring really important local patterns, which leads to underfitting. Usually, finding that sweet spot for K requires cross-validation.
Another absolutely mandatory concept for your exams is feature scaling. Because KNN relies entirely on calculating physical distances, you have to scale your data. Think about a dataset where you're looking at age, ranging from 18 to 60, alongside annual income, which might range from 20,000 to 2 million. If you don't scale that data, the massive numbers in the income column are going to completely swallow the Euclidean distance calculation. The age feature becomes mathematically invisible. You fix this by using min-max normalization to squeeze everything between 0 and 1, or standardization to center your data using the mean and standard deviation.
And while Euclidean is the absolute standard for numerical data, dropping some alternative distance metrics into your exam essay is a fantastic way to show deeper theoretical knowledge. You've got Manhattan distance, sometimes called city block distance, which measures movement strictly along grid lines rather than a straight diagonal. Then there's Minkowski distance, which is actually the generalized master formula. By just tweaking one parameter in Minkowski, it mathematically transforms into either Manhattan or Euclidean distance.
All right, Section 5, Complexities and Trade-offs. Let's zoom out and evaluate the broader advantages and limitations of the whole KNN approach.
The beauty of KNN really lies in its simplicity. It is remarkably easy to understand and code from scratch. There's no complex, math-heavy training phase to wait through. Its decision boundaries are super flexible because they naturally mold to local neighborhoods of data. Plus, it handles multi-class classification right out of the box without any weird modifications, and it effortlessly swaps between classification and regression tasks. It's also amazingly adaptable. If you get new training data, you just drop it in, no retraining required. But there is a catch. You have to understand its strict limitations. Because it's a lazy learner, it saves all its computational heavy lifting for the exact millisecond a prediction is requested, meaning every single query forces the algorithm to calculate distances against the entire training dataset. In big O notation, that's an O of n times d operation. For massive datasets, it is incredibly slow and completely eats up memory. And as we mentioned, it's highly sensitive to irrelevant features and completely falls apart if you forget to scale your data.
Which leads us to a heavyweight concept for M.Tech students, the curse of dimensionality. When the number of dimensions, or features, increases into the hundreds or thousands, data points become incredibly sparse across that high-dimensional space. The actual mathematical difference in distance between your nearest neighbor and your furthest neighbor starts to vanish. Essentially, the very concept of distance loses its meaning, completely crippling the KNN algorithm's ability to make good predictions.
Okay, Section 6, Exam Revision and Final Summary. Let's pull everything together into an ultimate cheat sheet for your upcoming exam.
If you get hit with a long answer question asking you to fully explain KNN, here is your bulletproof blueprint. First, drop the definition. It's a non-parametric, lazy learner. Next, list out those 5 algorithm steps. Write out the Euclidean distance math. Explain the bias-variance trade-off when selecting K. Emphasize exactly why feature scaling is non-negotiable. And wrap it up by listing some real-world applications, like using it for basic image classification, powering recommendation systems, or spotting anomalies in medical records. If you hit those exact points, you're going to crush that question.
Ultimately, even if you forget some of the dense math under exam pressure, just remember the core philosophy. KNN doesn't try to learn some wildly complicated global equation, it just trusts the local neighborhood. So I'll leave you with this to think about. What other complex, real-world problems out there could be solved right now simply by looking at the closest neighbors? Thanks for joining this explainer, and best of luck with your exams.